Good evening. I would like to call the May 22nd, 2024 regular City Council meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. Thank you.
Hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And as we end this month, moving towards Memorial Day and ending Peace Officer Memorial Month, please pause and take a moment to reflect with me. In this moment of reflection, we pause to honor the courage and sacrifice of those who have served our community and nation. We remember the fallen, the brave souls who stood unwavering in the face of adversity, defending the ideals that bind us together. Their legacy lives on in the hearts of those they protected, and their memory inspires us to strive for a world where peace prevails over conflict, compassion over cruelty, and unity over division. Today, may we recommit ourselves to the pursuit of justice, equality, and freedom, the very principles for which our fallen heroes fought. Let us honor their memory not only through words, but through our actions, ensuring that their sacrifices were not in vain. May their names be etched in our collective consciousness, and may their spirits guide us toward a future where peace prevails and the flame of liberty burns brightly. In their honor, we stand united. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Gregory. City Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Lamb. Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross. Mayor Carnevale.
Here. Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to the agenda?
I have no changes, Mayor.
Thank you. City Clerk, will you please read the statement of participation?
Public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are within the City Council's jurisdiction but not on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If you're a member of the public and you wish to address the City Council, please complete a request to speak form available at the entrance and submit it to the City Clerk. You will be called upon at the appropriate time. If you have materials or other items to present to the members of the City Council, please do not approach them. All materials shall be presented to the City Clerk for distribution. We do have a couple of individuals that would like to speak this evening. The first one is Mr. Anderson. Ooh, hold on just a moment. There we go. Go ahead now.
Good afternoon. My name is Brad Anderson. I currently live in the city of Rancho Mirage. I just want to take a moment of your time. Now, I wanted to speak on, I noticed a trend through the city council meetings throughout the valley to have a representative from the board usually speak about the Riverside County Transportation Commission and the proposed 1% or sales tax increase. I just want to come out, I'm opposed to any new increased taxes on the citizens of this region. And I just want to emphasize, each city has a representative that sits on that commission in Riverside, and they can easily not even bring this up for a ballot measure on November for a tax increase, sales tax increase. So I would hopefully that representative can listen to the participants, or not the participants, but the residents of this city and do their becking. And I would think that most people wouldn't increase, look forward to any type of increase on that. And just one point too, the Transportation Commission has an issue with remote meetings now, and that was brought up. The only reason I'm bringing that up, apparently at the Desert Hot Springs City Council meeting, it was brought up last night, how that's going to help the citizens not travel to Riverside, which is true, but my whole emphasis on not opposing that aspect of remote public meetings or satellite locations are for the commissioners not to attend the meeting in person. And they can easily have participation from the public without any type of measurement or any type of, order from that board. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad.
The next speaker is Jens Mueller.
Good evening, City Council. On my way 4 weeks ago, I witnessed a woman about my age, 60, 65, on a ladder, a 4-foot ladder, on a home in Cathedral Canyon, trimming her tree, standing on the 3rd rung, overreaching to trim her trees. Her home was neatly kept, and she took pride in her home, as most residents do in our city, at least 50% of them. Right next door to her was a resident who doesn't give a whiff about ordinances or respect of their neighbors. Guess what was out in front of his home? Trash cans. Mayor, you wanted me to address the council, so I'm going to address you.
Thank you.
What's your goal in the next 6-7 months before you take the plaque and hand it over to Nancy Ross? Is there a goal in mind? Beautifying the city, it would be a great goal. Raymond, what's your goal? Do you have one? Nancy? Nancy? Anyone? Rita Lamb? How about beautifying our city, getting rid of the trash cans? I made a post on Nextdoor that had 82 comments. We spent $16 million. Taxpayers spent $16 million on code enforcement in the last 10 years. We spent $300,000 on a city manager to come up with ideas to make our city beautiful, and he hasn't come up with one. We have others within the staff who don't have any idea, yet they went to college, they have all these degrees, and they can't come up with an idea. 2 weeks ago, you had a study session, and the council applauded. Oh, they said, you guys did such a great job. Oh, how wonderful. They did nothing, Mayor, right? What plan did they have? Education plan? Well, how long are we going to educate? Year after year after year. Raymond, this is for you. You're a big educator. 2 weeks ago, you had a photograph of a property, and they were so proud. Code was so proud and made one of their presentations, a house they had spent many man-hours on. Look at what we did to this house. We educated that house. Now look, it's all clean. The photograph you have in front of you is that same house. Just 2 weeks ago, they gave the big finger to the city and your education. Education time is over. I've already outlined what Rancho Mirage does. Can we all agree this is a 5-0 subject to beautify our city, and trash cans are so easy to get rid of. There's already an ordinance, Mr. Lawyer. We have it on the books. Don't have to create it. Just have to enforce it. So clearly, education is not working. Would you agree, Raymond? Education's not working? Charlie?
Thank you, Jens. Your time is up. I appreciate you, and we're all listening to you. Thank you.
I don't think so, but thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I don't have any other request to speak forms, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment at this time, please raise your hand. Aaron?
Hello, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I come to you on behalf of Leadership Coachella Valley. I would like to cordially invite all of you to our graduation coming up on June 28th and implore you to send someone through the program every year, as is commensurate with most cities here. The amazing Ryan Hunt is graduating, so I'd love to see support for him and to have the city involved. It's an incredible program. Secondly, I just wanted to bring attention to the Read With Me volunteer program. We have now reached 95% rate of students at Cathedral City Elementary that have a volunteer and tutor to teach them to read, and making a huge difference, especially in our bilingual students. Agua Caliente would like to get there as well. We have more teacher requests than we have volunteers, so we need 200 volunteers. So anyone, I implore you, any citizen you chat with, anyone, send them to me. We need 200 more volunteers to make that happen, and the goal is to get all 5 elementary schools in Cathedral City with the Read With Me volunteer program. We will be providing books this year at the free summer movies for kids, so every kid that comes through will leave with literature to take home, fun books of their choosing in both languages, and to take home and read to their siblings as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to provide public comment at this time? And I see no hands raised.
Okay, I'll close public comments, and we'll start with council reports, and we're going to be starting with Council Member Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Since we last met, we celebrated Mother's Day. I hope all the mothers had an amazing Mother's Day, and hopefully it will continue for a long, long time. As your representative, I attended a meeting with the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission meeting in which we talked about priorities and how to purchase future properties for conservancy. I also attended, along with my colleagues, the State of the City address. And I'll tell you, there's so many wonderful things going on in our city that sometimes we forget what's going on in our city. But once I was watching all the videos that my colleagues filmed, it is incredible what's going on in our city. And seeing all the business leaders within our, not just our city, but surrounding cities, it's just wonderful to have them within our city and wanting to do more business within our city. I also attended a meeting with Councilmember Lamb and myself and city staff in which we talked about Community Assistance Program grant applicants, in which we went over applications and came up with recommendations for City Council to consider for future grants, and you will hear about them probably in the next meeting. Also, along with my colleagues, I attended a presentation from Lisa Middleton, in which Lisa is running for State Senate District number 19. It was well attended, and hopefully she'll do great out there. Let's see, I also heard from a property owner in Cathedral City that had a couple of questions regarding his commercial building. I'm in contact with Andrew from planning to make sure that we assist him with whatever we can to take care of this issue and make sure that he's able to utilize his commercial property. I also heard from residents within our city that contacted me regarding illegal food vendors, again, popping up throughout our city that are illegal food vendors. I also spotted quite a few, and I actually reached over to, sent them over to our city manager to make sure that we take care of them and either help them get permitted or actually have them ship out of our city until they do. And I also heard from a constituent who owns a business within our city that had a question as to whether he needed a permit or not. And I've been talking to also Andrew to make sure that we provide him with the right information. And I'm in the process of assisting a constituent who was issued a code violation, and he's in the process whether he complies or not. So I'm trying to mitigate that issue, and hopefully I can get him to comply. It's not easy, but I'm trying to assist him to comply with his issue here. Now, coming up this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have a fun and safe Memorial weekend. I also met with our assistant city manager and our city manager to go over tonight's agenda. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much. I'm a bit of a Pollyanna. And for a lot of years, I've looked around our city and said, wow, the city's so great. Wow, the buildings look so good. All the people are so nice. But I always attributed it to that rather naive Pollyanna of me. But it's you too. So surveys have come out over the last year and a half, I'm going to say, that just show that people in Cathedral City are relatively happy with what we're doing. They're happy with the roads, John. They're happy with the parks.
They're happy with the people and their friends and what they can do and the opportunities they have in Cathedral City. And the happier they are, the happier I am. And I just keep, I feel invigorated by the fact that people see that we're really trying and that we are elevating the city and we are making it better for other people. And I wanted to share that with you because if you ever start feeling down, just remember about all the people who are around you in this city, because they aren't just for me, they're for all of us. And I want you to enjoy and appreciate and be able to elevate your own sense of happiness by knowing that you contribute to Cathedral City, to that happiness. It sounds a little Pollyanna-ish, but I believe it makes us different than some of the other cities I've been to. And I'm happy to be here. I hope you are too. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Gregory.
All right, it has been a busy 2 weeks. The last time we met it was back on May 8th. And then immediately thereafter, on May 9th, many of us attended the Harvey Milk Breakfast, which was held at the Palm Springs Convention Center. It's a breakfast. It's an annual event. It keeps growing and growing. There were about 1,200 people there this year, including a number of students from local schools throughout the Coachella Valley. I know a number of staff members were there, senior staff members, and a number of council members were there representing, and the police and fire departments. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending and remembering Harvey Milk and all of the equality concerns that have been addressed, but how far we still have to go. So it was a moving event. There were a lot of fun presenters, some serious presenters, some good music, and breakfast. So that's always good. So speaking of equality, the very next day, it wasn't a city event, but the Pride Prom was held. It's an event put on by Safe Schools Desert Cities, which is one of the beneficiaries of the Harvey Milk Breakfast. And that was held at the Palm Springs Air Museum. But I bring it up because it was sponsored this year partially by the Cathedral City Police Officers Association. So I'd like to acknowledge their contribution, and they're actually putting to action support of LGBT youth in our communities and finding positive ways to express themselves. And none other than our police chief and other members of the police department, and our assistant city manager, and Ryan Hunt and his wife were there, all as chaperones supporting the event. So thank you, everyone, for that and for demonstrating your commitment to our community ongoing. The very next day, in that same vein, there was a fundraiser over here at the Roost. Again, it was a bingo fundraiser. And again, I saw a number of city staff there participating in the fundraiser and having a good time, along with many other people here in our community. So it's just good to see. There was kind of a trio of events there, really close together, that were all very much involved with the city and showing their commitment to all of the residents of the city and for promoting equality and tolerance throughout. Then on Monday, May 12th, that was a busy day for me. I had the Coachella Valley Association of Governments Public Safety meeting. Representing the city also there was representative from the police department and the fire department on Zoom. But it was an interesting meeting. We again talked about earthquakes, some of the continuing early warning systems that are going on with earthquakes, earthquake preparedness, and some really shocking statistics that I think we probably all know that, it's been a long time since having a major quake on the San Andreas Fault, and the chances are really high, like up in the 97%, I think they said, in the next 30 years of having a major quake. So I know we keep saying and keep warning people and asking people to get prepared, and I know many council members have, in conjunction with the fire department and other city departments, have tried to get people prepared, but it's no joke. It's coming. So remember, be prepared. The city is also continuing to be prepared as they can. I know there's continuing efforts to try to improve our emergency operations center and our emergency response. And so that those efforts are going to come to good use Could be soon, could be a little while longer, but it's coming, so we're due a major earthquake. There's also discussion at the public safety meeting about the Chuckawalla Valley State Prison closure that is continuing to move forward. There hasn't really been much of a response or even a willingness to meet on the part of state officials. If you're not familiar with that, the state is downsizing prisons, and to save money, and also because they have other alternative methods. That's not really the question here, but they've decided to close Chuckawalla Valley State Prison, which is a newer prison, and the city of Blythe heavily depends on the economic benefits from that prison. Yet in our own county, we have a prison in Norco, which is an older prison and needs a lot of work, but the state has decided to keep that open, at least for now, at great expense. And the city of Norco would like that prison to be closed. So obviously the state isn't listening to the cities, and it's hard to believe that they're really looking at the money part of it because it doesn't add up. So Blythe continues to try to get those in higher authority in the state to take a look at this. The Coachella Valley Association of Governments has joined them, as have all our cities 100% supported that look. Has nothing to do with reducing the number of prisons, has nothing to do with any type of crime-related feeling. It just has to do with what makes sense for local communities, what makes sense to save money. So that struggle continues. I know CVAG is going to continue to press to at least try to have a town hall or something like that, because at this point the state has said they would do that and meet with the community, but they haven't really held that, and they continue the closures and accelerating. So that'll be a continuing issue. And then also that morning, I just want to briefly mention that the city manager and I did meet with Douglas McAllister, our vice president with Frontier Fiber, on their fiber program. I think the council by now is aware, but we had Frontier come through, and they put fiber in throughout our city in the public areas, not necessarily where there were HOAs, but they missed a corner of the city, up in the corner of Panorama, and it appears that they got ahead of themselves with the construction, so they paused construction, and then somehow in their confusion, they never restarted construction, and now they're hesitant to restart construction. So Mr. McAllister has been working with the city manager. He did meet with us, and he has left us with the hope that he's going to move this concern higher up in the company. So I think we will be monitoring and taking him at his word that this is going to happen sometime soon. If it does not, then I'm sure we will be back reminding him and Frontier that they have left a portion of a community out. There are a number of rules when it comes to putting down, since they are a public utility, to administering those utilities, that they're not supposed to leave portions out or discriminate because of economics. So we're hoping that's not the case, and we're taking him at his word that that's going to move forward. Then later that day, I did participate with the Riverside County Transportation Commission. They had a teletown hall where they probably called your cell phone and said, hey, if you want to stay in the line, you can ask questions about our traffic relief plan. So it always surprises me, but it started off with a couple of thousand people were on the line, and it was about a half an hour by the time we got to the end. About 175 people were still on the line asking questions and talking about the traffic relief plan. And so I was more of the moderator than the answerer of the questions. The executive officer of the Transportation Commission, Aaron Hake, who has come to speak to us before, was there, as was Tom Kirk, the executive officer of the Coachella Valley Association of Governments. So they answered most of the questions as to what the plans are to try to continue to address the transportation needs here in Riverside County, but particularly here in the Coachella Valley. And then, as already been mentioned, on Tuesday, May 13th, was the State of the City at the Doubletree. I want to just make sure I commend the mayor. I thought you did a wonderful job being the MC for that, and I know that's always difficult. I don't think you got lunch, but I think that's part of what comes with the mayors. You know, they serve the food right about the time the program's going to start, right? But so we honor your sacrifice for not having lunch, but you did a an excellent job. And then, of course, I want to thank Ryan for his work, especially the prep work in getting the videos ready. The council all spoke, but we spoke by video, so Ryan made sure we all sounded competent and looked good. And so thank you, Ryan, for all of your work. And, of course, thank the Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce for putting on the event and all of their efforts. Then on that Wednesday, May 15th, that can't be right, must be, anyways, the next day, Wednesday, I had the Coachella Valley Association of Governments Homelessness Committee, and the topics there were mostly a Lift to Rise action plan, which I know we're going to get a presentation at a study session here coming up this summer, so I won't go over that. And there also was discussion about Desert Hot Springs because they have opened their hub up there, but they are running short of operating funds, so they are withdrawing from the regional Coachella Valley effort, and they're going to rededicate the money that they put towards the regional effort to their hub. So that does mean that CVAG's having to readjust a little bit, but they will be, instead of having the CV 200, they'll be having the CV 175, because apparently about 25% of the whole valley's efforts were focused on Desert Hot Springs, so they were actually getting a smoking deal by being part of the regional, but they have decided, they understand that, but they've decided to withdraw. So the CV 200 will be becoming the CV 175, taking out those 25 spaces that have been used by Desert Hot Springs and where they've had rentals to support up there using the money that all of our cities put in. Of course, since they won't be putting in, they'll be winding those down soon. They won't be throwing anybody out, but they'll be winding down the efforts there and moving the efforts to another agency. And then just this last Monday, I did attend the Desert Business Association mixer representing the city. It was held at the KESQ studios there. The Desert Business Association is the county's only LGBT chamber of commerce. They are a chamber of commerce just like all the others. And it was very heavily attended for that poor little lobby there, but it was nice to be able to see everybody before everybody goes away for the summer. And then, earlier just today, was my last day of chairing the Coachella Valley Association of Governments Finance Committee. We did meet earlier today. We went over in depth the budget for CVAG for next year. You guys know that I'm not shy about asking questions about things that don't necessarily add up, so CVAG got a dose of that today, but they did a good job of that, and that budget, of course, will be coming to the Executive Committee on June 3rd for review. It's all right now. And we also spoke about the upcoming audit. Along with their audit, they'll also be doing a policy audit for the TUMP fees. So that'll be something they'll touch all the cities. And then they talked about their rollout of their enterprise resource program. So it was a heavy meeting a little earlier today. So with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. You've been really busy. Thank you. Councilmember Lamb.
Great. Thank you so much. I wanted to allude to the earlier presentation during our study session about the International Baccalaureate Program that is at Cathedral City High School, and talk about the array of programs and recognitions that Cathedral City High School benefits from and is recognized for, especially at the end of the year. The first one was Mayor Pro Tem and I were able to attend the Cathedral City High School Scholarship and Award Program. And in addition to the mayor and council awarding scholarships, the Cathedral City Police Officers Association were there to award a scholarship. The Evening Rotary gives a scholarship on behalf of the Greg Pettis Memorial Scholarship Fund, and a local resident, Cathedral City resident Dora Buckner. Her husband passed away, and there's the James Buckner Memorial Scholarship, and she's able to award scholarships to 5 students. So that was just a wonderful evening, and the benevolence and the philanthropy of Cathedral City residents and programs is wonderful, so thank you all. I had a chance to attend the Cathedral City High School band concert. It was called Kaleidoscopes. Matt Howe is the band director. He does an amazing job, and the bands are, there are 4 different bands within the Cathedral City Band Department. And not only does he have those students participate, but he has alumni. So, each one of them got to stand up and say where they're from and what they're doing now, and several of them are music instructors at different universities, here in California and abroad. So it was wonderful, and then he had all the seniors stand up. The Cathedral City High School Vocal Awards, I know Mayor Pro Tem was there earlier, and I was there a little bit later in the evening. It was at Outdoor Resorts, and May Leroy has been our vocal conductor, and she is retiring this year and heartbroken. And she had a wonderful presentation at the end where the parents gave their students, whatever it's called, a satin something or other, but it was beautiful, and it signifies the music award for the end of the year. And many of those students have been in that program since they started high school, and now they're seniors and graduating. So, start hitting the shoulders and elbows of other students that that might be interested, because the students had an opportunity to express what it's done for them, not only vocally, but in terms of seeing the world in a different way and seeing themselves in a different way. So it really made a difference. It was wonderful. I sit on the Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy, and that is a program that each of the councils throughout the Coachella Valley sit on, and the mission is to preserve lands, basically in support of the Multiple Species Habitat Plan, and the other part is conservation and awareness and education of the environment and our responsibility to protect it. So part of that is grants, and one of the grants that we were able to award over the course of the last few years was the rehab of Shumway Ranch. And Shumway Ranch is up Highway 74, but we can all take advantage of it. And now there are 2 fabulous bathrooms, a pavilion, and my husband and I happened to go to the first event of all the new facilities with jazz and local artists. And, it was just a wonderful opportunity to see how the Conservancy is protecting our lands and offering it, for the future. So it was wonderful. Most of us, I think all of us, attended the Cal Cities meeting. It was in Indian Wells, and Tom Kirk was the presenter. And as mentioned, Tom Kirk is the executive director of CVAG, the Coachella Valley Association of Governments. And he talked, as he said, about a pretty boring subject. It was called CV Sync, which is the syncing up of all the streetlights along Highway 111, but he also talked about the operations center and what it does for the valley, things that I don't even anticipate. But he had this wonderful example of the Ironman that is hosted in La Quinta, and how the first year it was kind of a crazy thing. I won't say, I won't get too dramatic, but it was really a problem in terms of traffic. And because of CV Sync and having the operations manager, they were able to improve it, and now it's a fabulous event, and people look forward to it, and it doesn't, cause traffic delays all over the city. So it was very interesting, and I really appreciate that. I will be attending the Memorial Day luncheon at Cimarron Cove, and it's facilitated by AMVETS. And one of the things that's always part of that wonderful luncheon is recognizing the Holocaust survivors and now their families. So it's really a poignant event, and I want to thank the city for preparing some certificates so we could recognize them personally from Cathedral City. I saw a great little article about the bicycle safety from our Cathedral City Police Department, and it was on Discover Digest. And now with our expanding our bike trails, it is really important that we all take to heart. I saw some fellow zipping down Cathedral Canyon yesterday with his hair flying and no helmet on, nothing. So please take care of yourself, because accidents do happen, and between a bicycle and a car,
you know what the percentages are, so I take that to heart. And our last thing I want to mention is our next emergency preparedness event, and that is Saturday, June 1st, and it's going to be at 11 o'clock in the Cathedral City Library, and we have those twice a year, but I want to especially extend my thanks to the Fire Chief Contreras and Chief Crum, because they are expanding the opportunities for our residents to become more empowered and learn how they can take care of themselves either in their homes or while they're away for the summer or during emergencies. So I really, really so appreciate all the efforts they have in providing that to our community. And residents, if you see something, say something. I get a couple of calls, and I always talk them over with our city manager and assistant city manager, and it's resolved quickly. So if you see something, say something. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. That was very nice, especially if you see something, say something, because that's one of my topics I'm going to speak about. I had a constituent call, and the neighbors next door. There's about 20 people living in the house, and trash all over the place, trash cans all over the place. And so I got the address. I went out there, and they didn't even have they had trash cans everywhere, but they just had a big trailer out in the front yard. They just threw their garbage in there. And of course, I called Charlie and Ann right away, and Justin got right involved. So the city does, when we get a complaint, we do go out there. We do comply. We do as best as we can with what we have. There's 57,000 plus people living here, thousands of homes and businesses. Can't be everywhere, but when we do get a call, we're there, and that's why we praise our code compliance for the hard work they do. So, and I think they got it all taken care of. I'm sure Charlie got right on that too. I just want to also, it's been said about the state of the city. I want to definitely thank Ryan for what a great job you did. I said, I don't want to interview anybody. I get too nervous, but you went and did it anyway. You got me through it. Thank you very much. I'm not going to forget that. But I'm glad the way that we discussed giving credit to all the staff members, all the way to Tracy and Christina and all the staff members, because it's just not this council that makes the city run, it's the whole team together. And so I was really proud, and as Councilmember Gutierrez said, you sit back and go, wow, we did that, wow, we did that, this is really pretty nice. So it's kind of interesting to see what we all have done here. Now, Memorial Day weekend, I'll be at Forest Lawn at 10 o'clock for a little presentation. If you want to show up, they always put on a good show there. And then last thing I'll just mention real quick, the Boys and Girls Club tomorrow at 5:30, 6 o'clock, they do their annual spaghetti dinner by me. And it should be a fun time. I'm sure the chief will be there, as any manager and fire chief and all. So if you can get out there and make it, it's a good cause. Scott always puts on a good program. So, all right, with that being said, let's move this along. Will the city clerk please read the consent agenda items?
Item number 3A is to waive full reading of ordinances on agenda. Item number 3B is the approval of May 8th, 2024 study session and regular council minutes. Item number 3C is to receive and file payment of claims and demands for April of 2024. Item number 3D is to ratify a side letter with AFSCME and approve a resolution adopting the salary schedules and rescind Resolution 2024-05. Item number 3E is to provide a second reading by title only and adopt an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cathedral City, making CEQA consistency exemption findings, adopting an amendment to the Rio Vista Village Specific Plan, which is Specific Plan Amendment 97-55D, and approving a density transfer between planning areas. Item number 3F is to approve the city's appropriation limit for the fiscal year 2024-2025 GAN initiative limitation. Item number 3G is to accept and approve the Date Palm Pavement Rehabilitation Project, CIP 8840, as completed, and authorize the city manager to execute and file a notice of completion. And that concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public wish to comment on any of the agenda items?
I do not have any requests to speak for the consent agenda items. If you're a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment, please raise your hand. And I see none.
Thank you. I'll close public comment. Was any questions from council or comments? Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Do I have a second?
Are you guys seeing the,
Is yours working?
there we go.
Yeah, oh, it's coming up now.
There we go. Mine isn't.
Gosh, you know, Tracy's my mom and
Mayor
you're my
Pro
dad.
Tem's computer's not working.
He-
You want to do verbal or?
Do roll call
Let's
vote,
do
then I'll
verbal
come
and
up.
she'll get you going.
Okay, so Councilmember Lamb? Yes. Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Carnevale?
Aye.
The motion carries all ayes.
Can we just take a quick break while you get her computer?
I can tell you about the 1990s pop rock band.
Thank you, Ben.
Is it my password or yours?
This is the second week with this new program we got here. I don't know if it's pilot.
Remember that
error.
happy all the time thing? Just not at this moment.
Will this go away? She'll take that, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right, now we can move on.
Okay. So we want to move on?
Yeah, I had called the, I had
Oh,
called
okay,
the-
all right, very good. Public hearing, CFD 20061, 1A 21, formation, election, and ordinance of the public hearing. This is the time and place for the public hearing for the proposed formation of the improvement area number 21 of the city of Cathedral City, Community Facilities District number 2006-1, law enforcement, fire, paramedic, park maintenance, and general maintenance services. The public hearing is hereby officially open. At this time, we will first have presentation by staff about the district. After that, we will receive comments and questions and any oral protests from the interested persons. When all comments have been received, the public hearing will be closed. City Clerk, staff presentation. May we have a presentation, please?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. So I will be giving you a presentation this evening on Community Facility District 2006-1, or -01. So the Community Facility District was originally brought to a City Council goal session in 2005, with the fiscal impact report being initiated in February of 2006. It was later approved by City Council in September of that year, 2006. The establishment of the citywide Community Facility District happened in October of 2006, with the first annexation of zone area within the district in December of 2006. To date, we've had 18 improvement zones annexed into the district, and here this evening, we're bringing to you the 19th zone, Grove Street Apartments. So this is a three-step process. The first step happened back on April 10th, where we brought to you the petition of waiver, resolution of intention, and to establish and publish the boundary map. This evening is step 2 of that process, where we have the resolution of formation and establishment of the validity of prior proceedings, resolution calling for a special election, resolution canvassing the results of that special election, and the introduction and first reading of the ordinance. The third and final step will happen on June 26th, where we will have the second reading of that ordinance and a notice of special tax lien. There we go. So the fiscal impact report as of fiscal year 2024-2025 is $669.50 per residential dwelling unit for developments of more than 4 units, and 15.56 cents per square foot for for non-retail industrial developments. Improvement area number 21, Grove Street Apartments, is a 19-apartment home development, which will generate annual levy of $12,720.50. This here is a picture of the published boundary map, and that is the end. Any questions?
We start with Councilman Gutierrez.
I have no questions, thank you.
We have no questions.
Thank you, Council.
Mayor, if I may, you had earlier directed me to mention a couple things, but we were caught up in what was going on. So I just wanted to note that the notice of public hearing was published in accordance with the Melrose Community Facilities Act of 1982, and proof of such publication is on file in the city clerk's office.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any oral protests or comments from the public?
I have not received any requests to speak on this item or any protest as well.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the city council? Before I formally close the hearing, is there any property owner subject to the proposed special tax wishing to file a written protest? If so, it must be filed with the city clerk at this time. For the purpose of the majority protest, only written protests are to be considered. The public hearing is hereby closed. Do I have a motion to adopt a resolution approving the formation of the district?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So we're going to do roll call votes for these.
Okay. I believe it was Councilmember Gregory
And the
moved and then
second by
Councilmember Lamb.
Councilmember Lamb. Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Carnavale?
Yes.
So the motion carries all ayes.
At this time, I hereby direct the city clerk to tabulate the ballot of any and announce if 2/3 of the votes cast upon the question of levying the tax are in favor of leveling that tax.
Actually, Mayor, we have to do a motion to adopt a resolution calling the special election.
So moved.
Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Carnavale?
Yes.
The motion carries all ayes.
Will the city clerk conduct the first reading of the ordinance authorizing the levy of special tax? Am I one ahead?
So we have the ballot, and the votes cast upon the question of levying the tax are in favor of levying that tax. Now we need to adopt a resolution canvassing the results.
So moved.
Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gregory? Mayor Pro Tem Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Carnavale?
Aye.
And the motion carries all ayes. Now we can do the ordinance.
I'm doing a who's on first here.
It's different.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance authorizing the levy special tax?
My title only correct.
Do
So
I-
moved.
Do I have a second?
Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Carnavale?
Yes.
And the motion carries all ayes. And at this time, I'll read the title of the ordinance.
Okay.
It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cathedral City, acting as the legislative body of Community Facilities District Number 2006-1, law enforcement, fire, paramedic, park maintenance, and general maintenance services of the City of Cathedral City, authorizing the levy of a special tax within said district.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for getting me through that. I really appreciate all the help. Okay, item B, 2024-25 rate increase request for the solid waste and recycling collection for residential, commercial, and roll-off services. Mr. City Manager, we have a staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And you heard this item in study session just 2 weeks ago. Deanna Presgrove presented it and went over it with you. So she'll give you a summary of that again tonight. And this is the point at which you actually act on the proposed I think it's two resolutions, I think,
Good
actually.
evening. Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. I'm Deanna Pressgrove, your Environmental Conservation Manager for the City of Cathedral City, and tonight we're going to talk about the rate increase request on the collection of solid waste and recycling services for residential, commercial, and roll-off services. In the audience, we have Frank and Clara from Burtech to answer questions, and I would like to introduce, in between Frank and Clara is Rebecca. Rebecca works with Burtech, and she is the person that I go to when the sky is falling, and she solves all my problems. She is definitely, by far, my favorite Burtech employee.
Can we have her too? Can we?
No, she's mine. All right, so under our 5-year strategic plan, rate increase and all the programs that we provide under there fall under Goal D, under innovation. So this year making up the rate increase, we've got 3 components. We've got the CPI increase, which is for the San Bernardino, Ontario area, which is the water, sewer, trash collection service. It came in at 5.55%, but the max that you can charge on trash is 5%, which is reflected in the rates. In addition to the increase, the County of Riverside's decision to increase the per ton disposal at the county landfills, which went from $59.70 to $64.48 per ton, which will be effective July 1st, 2024. And then we've got the annual net recycling adjustment, which is adjusted on several components associated with recycling and the processing. So how does this affect our customers? Residential, for the current residential rate, we are at $28.31. The proposed rate for calendar year 2025 would be $30.80. And as a reminder, all of our residential customers are billed on the property tax bill. So it is calendar year, so it starts January through December. We did send out a Prop 218 notices to all residential customers in all businesses, and out on April 8th, 2004, we did receive 9 protests, and you can view them with the city's clerk's office. And they were all from residential customers. And out of the 8, they just said, I protest. Commercial customers. Third yard container is our most common container for our commercial customers, and the increase, if approved, would be approximately $12.21 per month, which would become effective July 1st, 2024. Customers are direct billed for their service, and as you'll see on this chart, I also went through and gave you the breakdown of what a 2-yard, 3-yard, 4-yard, and 6-yard would cost, but our most common service is 3-yard. So what do you get for that rate? And these are all the programs that I just love talking about. We get our weekly curbside program. We get 196-gallon trash recycling and organics cart. We get a kitchen pail, and we do hand out liners free of charge for our residents. And I encourage you to call me at Public Works to get your free box of liners. We will have soon rubber bands to place around those liners. We also get additional 1 recycling and organics cart at no charge. Thank you, Mr. Raymond. We also offer 4, which is huge, to counter our illegal dumping issue. We offer 4 large items for all of our residents, commercial and multifamily communities. Residents can call Burtech directly. Commercial call and multifamily communicate with me, and we schedule it with Burtech. Other residential programs, we have special services provided for disabled persons. You get a placard. You can get what's called backyard service, so you can have Burtech driver come up, take your cart, service it, and then put it back. We also have holiday Christmas tree recycling program that runs obviously around the holidays for a few weeks, where we advertise you can put your tree out for pickup. And then our multifamily and commercial recycling programs, as we roll out SB 1383 and we start implementing organics at all of our multifamily, the city, in conjunction with Burtech, we install signage on each of the trash enclosures, as you see right here in English and Spanish. This explains exactly what's going on in that trash enclosure and where to put your bulky items. And then we also do waste audits for our commercial and multifamily. Then we also do the scrap gallery programs, the garden and composting programs, which we have at our elementary school, our 55 and older communities, and and our senior center. We do shredding events, which is very popular, very easy event, but very popular. That is October through May, the first Saturday of each month. And then we do offer shred service at our 55 and older communities and our senior center. And that is a cart that is placed at their facilities so that the resident can use it anytime they need to, and the city covers the monthly fee. And our weekly Tuesday 1 to 2:30 p.m. at the Public Works Yard is where we accept our unwanted medications and needles, our tires, our electronics, and batteries. Then we also have our community outreach, which is our mailer that's sent out twice a year that includes information on all of our environmental programs, in addition to some programs like at the library, the special events programs as well. And then we got our reusable tote bags, our street sweeping program, illegal dumping collection program, our senior and low income assistance, and our Water Smart program, which we presented earlier this year that we upped it to $1,000 a resident for their conversion of the front yard. And we also now include multifamily communities, which we've had one so far, Shadowcrest, which participated and received a nice check for the conversion of 20 properties within their community. And I will get out there and do some more outreach on the multifamilies to make sure that they're aware that even if they did the project within the last 12 months, they could still qualify for the grant funds. So in summary, residential customers are billed on their property tax bill, and if approved, the rate increase would be $30.80. Commercial customers would be increased by $12.21 and would be billed effective July 1st, 2024. The rate increase is paid by customers, and it has no negative impact on the city's general fund. So I am asking for a recommendation for approval of the request for rate increases on commercial, residential, and roll-off services, and approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cathedral City approving the tax roll billing and the new adjusted rate schedule of fees for residential services. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councilmember Gutierrez?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, no questions. Any public comment?
I do have one request to speak for him, and Mr. Brad Anderson.
Not this one, no. Hi, Brad.
Hi, thank you. Again, Brad Anderson. I currently live in the city of Ransom Rouge. I just felt compelled to come and speak on this. Of course, I live in the city of Ransom Rouge, and I did protest during the contract period with Vertec, a written protest, and after that, I had nothing but issues. I don't know if they're related, but I think they are, so hopefully the people that protest don't have any issues that I am currently having issues with Vertec right now. But that being said, the city of Ransom Rouge...
Excuse me, Brad, one question. I think I was supposed to read, at this time, I'll open up the public hearing, just so that
That is correct.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brad. I want to clear that up.
Now my train of thought is,
Oh,
I don't
man,
even know what I was
you can
talking
start
about.
all over again, man. I hate to do that to you. It's my bad.
Now, what's something...
You were rolling, too.
Anyway, I guess my point is the tax roll issue. I'm an opponent to that. I'm not in favor of that. Again, that's your city, your contract. This is just a rate increase of 5%, which is capped. I believe City of Ransom Rouge is too. I think people pay a lot. I think this city is reasonable, but also looking through, I'm not an expert on this contract. I never read the contract itself, but I did see fees for illegal dumping and recycling. So I think the residents should know that they are paying for this, even if they say it is free. It's not, according to what I know. And I guess that's really all I have. I know DMV, DVD, Desert Disposer, but Desert Valley Disposer, which serves Desert Hot Springs, for example, they've had an increase, and it's like $520 per home up there. and they don't get near the services you do down here, so I guess that's a good thing, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. I apologize again for interrupting. Council, any last words? No. At this time, we'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve staff's recommendation?
So moved.
Please vote.
You went too fast.
Are we working?
That's okay.
Are we up? Okay, here we go.
I'm just a little slow.
Got it. I believe we're,
If you're ever sick, I'm in big trouble.
Motion carries, all ayes.
thank you. Thank you, Deanna, for your presentation. Appreciate it. Thank you, Frank. Ladies. Legislative actions. Finalize the name for the Dream Homes Neighborhood Park, currently under construction. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. John Corella will present this. He's been working with the Parks and Community Events Commission for the past several months on this, and they have done several outreach efforts with the community to get input on this, and the commission did make a recommendation to you all at their last meeting, and the final decision of the name is up to you all, so that's what this is about. John.
Thank you, City Manager, for that introduction. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, we're here to do a job of finalizing the name for the Dream Homes Neighborhood Park. Just to let you know, within the strategic plan, this is directly related to community investment. Goal Action B14, which had us get the design phase and begins construction by the end of 2023. We accomplished that goal. Now we're in the proceeding with the full-on construction of the park. Just to give background to yourselves and the people in the audience watching on TV and here in the auditorium, in 2023, contracts were awarded for park equipment and ancillary accoutrements, park benches, playground equipment. We issued the contract for the West Park linear wall. It's a long wall. We also issued the big contract for the park construction itself, and we ordered the restroom building in December. Groundbreaking ceremony occurred at April 3rd, which all of you had the fortunate pleasure to attend, and we appreciate that. More background, just to let you know, Dream Homes Park was always a placeholder. We needed a name to get through the application stages and go through the state respective grant application process with the documents. So forever known, just to let you know, with the state, it'll always be known as the Dream Homes Park. But we ourselves, just like Cathedral City Community Amphitheater, the state knows as Heritage Park, it gets a new moniker provided by your confirmation. So your task tonight is to adopt that permanent name. So PACE rolled up their sleeves, initiated the process, and a subcommittee was appointed. I have the fortunate pleasure of also having two of those commissioners here, Mario Jimenez and Angel Herrera, and we also have Chairman Highland here from the Parks Commission. They were task-driven, the task for this subcommittee, and once you name it, that subcommittee goes away because they've done their job, is to provide opportunities for residents of Dream Homes neighborhood to provide input on the name. 3 polls were taken. The subcommittee initiated door-to-door polling, and they received 58 responses, and I'll get into detail on each one of them in a little bit. The subcommittee and staff liaisons also assisted in a mailer process that was mailed to all the households within the Dream Homes area. We received 29 responses. Those responses were able to be emailed in or in drop boxes placed at City Hall here or at the library. Subcommittee and staff liaisons also created a Agua Caliente school project, get the input from the children, so the teachers were given an assignment for the students to perform. We received 400 responses. That was probably the funnest part of this whole thing. In respect to Mayor Pro Tem, I was glad to do that.
Good. This cathedral is awesome.
So the blank mailer was sent out. Here's a copy of the blank mailer. It was in English and Spanish. And also the blank school assignment was sent out, and it was called for the Cathedral City is building a new park for you. We asked the children to draw what they would like to do at the new park and then give us a name for the park. Mind you, when you see these, we're talking about 1st through 5 years old, or 1st grade to 5th grade. So, the door-to-door in Dream Homes neighborhood, the commissioners subcommittee went out and knocked on doors, the doors that they could get to. They were impeded by a lot of gates locked at the street, people not answering, but they did get 58 responses of Esperanza Park. Esperanza is hope in Spanish. So, with that result, we assisted, the liaisons assisted, and we all came up with a mailer that was sent out to the neighborhood households. 29 recommendations were received, 14 Agua Caliente Park, 2 Dream Homes Park, 2 Esperanza Park, and then as you see the list of the other one each, Hope Park, which is Esperanza Park, and you keep going on. Agua Caliente Park was vetted. The challenge is that we did have an Agua Caliente Park there. And so from the commission standpoint, this is new. We wanted new. They wanted new for the neighborhood. The neighborhood wanted new. So that was discounted. So here's an example of the mailers that came in. Esperanza Park, Agua Caliente Park, Parque Agua Caliente, Pathway Park, relevant to CV Link, Chia Vista Park, Dream Vista, Arroyo Vista. Some people put a lot of work in there. Esperanza City Park, Hope Park, its patriotic name, Hope, because I hope it's a good future and it does not turn into a homeless encampment, and that it does not turn into a place for crime and graffiti and flourish, which are actual facts that we've vetted at council meetings and at the commission meetings, and we're addressing that. And we appreciated the neighborhood's concern on that because it's going to be their park and they're going to participate in that, keeping it their park. But they liked Hope Park, which equals Esperanza Park, Agua Caliente Park. Then we had this one, and this one really hit me home because I read it, I translated my brain, and then I actually went and made sure I was right on it. So rather than reading in Spanish though, it really translates to, I like the name Healing Park because I think it is the purpose of the parks, to heal the soul and the spirit. And remember when we were children and we enjoyed it, just like children of now. And so I just felt into that person as a very seasoned soul in life and just reflecting. And looking, it just made me really appreciate the city's effort to get this park and the neighborhoods to get this park moving. Serenity Park, Dream Home City Park. And then we come to the very interesting Agua Caliente Elementary School. We had 400 recommendations back to the city. 42 were Cathedral City Park, 23 were Agua Caliente Park, 20 were Dream Homes Park, 10 Dreamer Park. And so, and then examples, you can go through it. Funnest Cathedral City Park, the fun park. It goes down, and then Cats, Dogs, and Turtles Park kind of hit home. And there was a discussion in Pace that said, that's so unique. What was that child thinking?
John, can I ask you a question? So on the left-hand side, you have 42, 23, 20, 10. That's how many?
Yes.
But then on the other side, like for instance, where it says Agua Caliente Park, 23, on the other, Dream Homes Park, 20. On the other side, there's also a Dream Homes Park. Did it just not get included? About halfway down?
Yeah, that's probably a typo for me. So I apologize. That was a good catch real quick. I appreciate that. But it got included as the 20.
It did get included in the 20?
Yeah. So this is what, you're going to see a few of them. Naturally, you're not going to get 400 of these to look at, but it was so fun looking at it. So the staff liaisons that reviewed it, we had chuckles and giggles on the imagination of what these kids are so excited to see. Cathedral City New Park, obviously they're in the playground. Cathedral City Fun Park, Dream Park, soccer fields. There's a big relevant thing on soccer. In fact, a lot of them were named Messi Park for a famous Argentinian soccer player. So they're excited about the soccer aspect of this park. Rainbow Dream Park, Park, Super Park with soccer as the emphasis. Kids, Cats, Dogs, and Turtles Park. We love that one. We couldn't figure out where the turtle is, but maybe it's the turtle at Panorama Park that spouts out water. So PACE considered the names at its May 7th meeting, and they opted to provide the city. They were going to provide just one name, but they provided a couple other names that, if it had to, cascade there: Cathedral City Community Park or Pathway Park, because it's relevant to CV Link. And once again, for everyone in the audience here that doesn't speak Spanish, Esperanza means hope. So, with that said, this is going to be a nice park. This is going to be a happy park. This is a kids' park. This is a family park. This is the kids. This is going to be the funnest Cathedral City Park. This is the best park in Cathedral City. So with that, staff is recommending, with PACE staff liaisons, that the City Council consider and affirm the name Esperanza Park. That's the end of my presentation. Mayor, back to you.
Excellent, thank you very much. On the question on the 58 residents responded with the name. Was that 58 out of 58? I mean,
That's what it said.
yeah, so they went to door and everyone said Esperanza Park?
All 58.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a good odds there.
Yes, and that's why we sent out the mailers.
I mean, because
And that's why we pulled the neighborhood.
then
But
on
there
the
we
number of
we
the
didn't
student
get to
assignments
get all
that-
the doors.
just-
But the mailers only came back with 2 Esperanza, and the
Yeah.
students came back with none.
Yeah. Any questions? Let's go to questions, and we can come back to our comments and our suggestions. Any questions for the,
Not much of a question, but more of a comment that I did receive several phone calls from residents within the Dream Homes area that there was people walking around and passing petitions to name this park, and their concern was that there was no other option besides Esperanza Park. And this particular individual mentioned that he was not Spanish speaking, and there was other people representing that community besides just Esperanza Park, and he was not in agreement with naming that particular park Esperanza Park. He wanted to have more options, and he just said, when I was presented with just that choice, I was not in agreement with it. But yet, that's all they had. That's what I heard.
And in consideration of that, when it came back, staff looked at that and said, we need to get a better polling, and that's why we sent it out to every resident to have the opportunity to bring in, send something in.
any more questions?
Well, yes,
I
then
mean,
they...
I was looking at Councilor Good.
No, not now. Not at this time.
So based on that, I haven't held it in my head, but I just know when you were going over, I just based who chose Esperanza, and so it was 0 on the students and only 2 on the mailers. What was that? So if Esperanza, had 60, and that was the first choice, but there's some questions I'm hearing from my fellow council members. What was the second choice?
The second choice
Yeah, they had the most votes.
of,
Dream Homes.
well,
All depends which one you're looking at.
it depends on the poll you're looking at, but Agua Caliente Park, and if you look at the students, a lot of it related to dreams. And they hadn't been in the neighborhood for the years and years, and they have no history, so their view of dream homes, various forms of Dreamer Park and things like that, the Dreamiest Park, is that's a good name for them. So that was the school-age children. So on the one sent out to the households, and we actually extended the time a couple times, and that's all the responses we got.
18?
No, the 29. And if you add them all up, it should be 29. And the 14 on Agua Caliente Park, once again, was considered by the PACE. And the one thing was that they felt the community, we should move on from what it was when it was on the school site, and then the school put the fence up and closed it off and limited the hours. They wanted to move on to a brand new name and brand new park. So.
Any more?
Absolutely no offense, but if that was going to be the policy that the commission was going to choose, then we should just go by what the commission chose. But that wasn't how I understood it. I understood that you also sent out mailers and that you walked the neighborhood and that, but in the end, it sounds like you're leaning towards what the commissioners recommend. And I have no beef with that. I don't have a vote one way or the other that I feel strongly about, but it confuses me a little bit on how we got to.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, these community input things are always fun because it's not really meant to be an official legal vote, like I voted for this one or this one for city council. I mean, it really is to get input. And then when you get all that input, it's incumbent upon our commission, and then to a certain degree us, to say, okay, well, it wouldn't matter if 1,000 people voted one to other if the name doesn't really make sense or there are issues with it. So I do appreciate the issue with the Agua Caliente. I would find that confusing because the name as a place name now represents so many places. We have the Agua Caliente Casino, have the Agua Caliente School, and this is not in any of those locations. So, just looking at that, I would say, well, it's confusing, and we even have the casinos and other Agua Caliente tribal endeavors in Palm Springs, those kind of things. So, while that's the name that was the old park at the school site, and one could argue, well, that's the name of the large tribe at least in this area, it's not really a tribal park or connected to one of those tribals. So that one I can understand. Some of the other ones I think are interesting, fun, which is great. We want to get that input of fun. But I mean, we're going to be naming a serious park. I know one of the considerations with Cathedral City Park or something like that. Well, again, to me, it's very plain because it's not at City Hall. It's in Cathedral City, but it doesn't really describe the neighborhood and aspiration for the neighborhood or any of that type of thing. So personally, I am fine with Esperanza Park. I think it's creative and is positive towards the neighborhood, which is we have a neighborhood that is continuing to get better. I'm also okay with Dream Homes Park because it's descriptive of what it is. And I saw the Pathway Park, and as your representative that helps with CV Link, I don't really, see that as a significant descriptor either that would differentiate it as being special in Cathedral City because CV Link is all the way throughout the valley. So that's just my input. When I looked it all over, I thought Esperanza Park made sense, or Dream Homes Park made sense. So I'm fine with the commission's recommendations.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to say or ask that the commission's recommendation was based on all the accumulation of all this data, whether it was going house to house or mailers or having the children's input. And I just have to say, because I think about myself most of the time, my whole career in public education and elementary schools, it was always about this. It was always turtles and frogs and a fun way to look at life. And I love the name Esperanza. I just think it's beautiful. And I, in tremendous support of it. I think that's a beautiful name. Thank you for your hard work.
I'd like to open for public comments.
We do have one request to speak form, Yvette. And when you come up to the podium, if you wouldn't mind pronouncing your last name for me.
My
Hello.
name is Yvette Perez Gill, and I'm a community member from this community. I'm also the representative for the Desert Healthcare District for this area also. And I am here to give you a little bit of background on the Esperanza name. When we were doing the community needs assessment in that neighborhood for you guys and for Loma Linda, we were going out door to door asking the community members, what is it that you think this community needs? And a lot of them named the park. They wanted a park to take their kids because when the conversion happened with the school, they took away our park. That was our park since we were small. I've been in that neighborhood for almost 48 years. So I've seen the changes, I've seen the good, the bad, I've seen it all. So the community members that are still there wanted a park. And this park took forever to receive. And the mutual response between a lot of those community members was, we want a park. More than likely, we're not gonna get it, because we're dream homes. You know, we're not gonna get it. That's hoping for a lot. So that's where the Esperanza name came from. You know, it's something that the community has hoped for and has asked for all this time. And now it's come forward, you know, and it deserves the right to be named something that shows the resilience in that community of being still there, still being able to provide input for your community, even though you don't have the same rights as other cities, as other areas in the neighborhood, right? Like our neighborhood has always been, in a way, a rural area, right? Because even since we were young, we didn't have, the cops wouldn't come in, you know, we just had a lot of difficulties in there getting assistance. So I think that this would mean a lot for the community if it was named Esperanza Park, because it's something that comes from all the generations of the people that have lived there, that had struggled, that have came ahead, that have lost their people to gun violence or to other things. This is something that they want, and it's come to full circle through hope of a community that has been able to stick together and build resiliency. So I hope that you guys think about that when you want to name the park. And as far as Mr. Gutierrez, I've known you for a long time, and the comment that you said about the constituents saying that it was only one name that was provided, I disagree with you, because I saw how, aside from this, my father is Mario. I saw how he went out there every day, the whole day, starting in the morning till the afternoon in the heat, to ask the people. And he didn't just go to the homes once. He went to the homes a couple of times at different areas. So I don't agree with what you said. And also, I'm going to finish up because I know I only have 3 minutes.
Your 3 minutes is up, but please continue.
Okay. But being this, some of my constituents did say that they did thought Esperanza was a beautiful park, including a couple of your family members. So with that, thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Any more public comment?
I don't have any other request to speak forms for this item, but if you are a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment, please raise your hand. Okay, Aaron?
Hi, Erin Highland, Chair of the Parks and Community Events Commission. We took a lot of time and effort to think through this. A lot of what Mr. Gregory already stated. It's emotional for us and emotional for the residents we would talk to. They are so excited for this park, and when you hear Cathedral City is where art lives, now with this park, Esperanza Park, it's where hope lives too. And that's the goal with the name. So I implore you all to vote in with what we recommend. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Is there anyone else that would like to provide comment on this item? I see no hands.
Well, since everybody's being honest and everything, and I'll be truthful as well, you know, I really like the Dream Homes. It's been around here since I've moved in here. To me, it's a community, it's a place, you know, like it was said, it's been through a lot, good and bad, and I think it would give that community more pride to be calling it a Dream Home Park. But that's just my opinion, it's not my district. My district is at Serenity Park, and it's called, or Century Park, it's called Century Park. So I lean towards that because I think it's a tribute to that community, into that area, not that Esperanza. It doesn't mean anything. Chances are it's going to be called that anyway, but everyone's going to say, where's that at? They're going to say the Dream Homes. So with that being said, does anyone else have a comment at where they want to go with this? Or?
Yes, I do. Yes, to clarify those comments were not made by me. They were actually made by a resident to me that the only name provided was Esperanza Park. So those are not my comments that were made by a resident. But for sure, one thing is the residents do not want this park to be named Dream Homes Park. They actually want to rename the community in the future to something else besides Dream Homes. They want to make sure that this community actually drives away from that name, because that name brings back a lot of bad memories, as it was mentioned. People that were shot, killed, that were lost for drugs or to prisons. So they want to get away from that. Now, whatever the residents do want, I believe that we should go along with what they want, because they live there. I lived in that community, and whether I like the name or not, whatever the residents want, we should support, I think.
Okay, but what are you hearing that what the residents?
Esperanza Park, I think it will be well, because that's what the residents want. I would like to make a motion to name this park Esperanza Park.
Do we have a second?
Hold on. I'm going to reset that because Councilmember Gutierrez actually made.
I got excited and voted. I got all excited.
All right. Now I'm going to open the vote.
No, I did my A, I waited.
No, you did the second. She made the second.
Oh, I apologize. Okay.
You said wait? Okay, all right. Sorry, Tracy.
Okay. Let's do this again.
It's okay.
All set, Tracy?
I'm going to reset it. Hold, if you just bear with me.
Okay, reset.
Somebody tired.
The park's going to be built before we vote.
Let's just do we'll do a roll call vote just to make it go faster. Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross? Mayor Carnevale?
Aye.
So the motion carries all ayes.
Esperanza is a beautiful name.
Item B, Sound Skills Taste of Jalisco contract renewal. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Ryan Hunt will present this. This is a recommendation for this event only to extend the Sound Skills contract for 1 year. We will be doing this fall an RFP for services for our 4 main events, and people can bid on 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of them. But for this event only, because there's not time, they need to start work on it now. We're recommending that we extend the existing contract for a year. Ryan.
Thank you, City Manager. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, it's good to be with you, kind of as a through line from our presentation that we had together earlier in study session, but I want to talk about Taste of Jalisco Festival, and as City Manager mentioned, we're kind of in that crunch time already. You know, you really want 9 months to a year to be able to plan for these things, and we're coming up pretty fast, and there's a lot of things that I think that carry over in what they've done in the past, but I'll highlight the success that I feel like the event is on and the right trajectory, and I appreciate the mention of the RFP. I'll go into that into a little bit of detail as well. So I think you know most of this, but I'll quickly give a background for transparency that the city's contracted with the third-party event producer Sound Skills for the following events: Taste of Jalisco Festival since 2022. You all approved the contract in 2021, and then a renewal with them for that, and then for LGBT Days, and then Taste of Jalisco Festival had record crowds 2 of the past 3 years, which we're proud of. The LGBT Days event will actually return to a city-organized event in 2025, and that was a mutual decision with Sound Skills, the event producer. So I think we feel like they've done a really great job with Taste of Jalisco, and then maybe we can kind of enhance and even grow LGBT. So they have 10 full-time employees and 40 part-time employees. I'm sure you've seen them in the days leading up. I mean, it just kind of appears. I know that is simplifies a lot of the work that they actually do, but it's pretty amazing to see them put all of the events together, and especially the big carnival and everything that they brought to Taste of Jalisco. So they've been doing this for 20 plus years, small and large scale events. That's what I like about their portfolio. They have flexibility to do a lot more smaller scale events too. So they've got a broad range. They're based out of Temecula. And then just a quick rundown of kind of some of their biggest hits: San Bernardino County Fair, Coastal Country Jam, which has become a really popular one in Long Beach, California. See a photo of the crowd there, which is fantastic. Boots in the Park, they've done concerts for U2, John Legend, and several others. They produce GLAAD activation events and Queer Lounge as well. So they've really run the gamut as far as what they do and what they produce, and their production samples are obviously very impressive. So Taste of Jalisco, I gave you this slide earlier today during study session, but for those kind of watching now and for full transparency, just to kind of recap a really good 2024 event. We didn't have the best weather, but we were still happy to have 10,000 plus attendees. The biggest carnival we've had, Lucha Libre, which was something a little bit different. We paired that with some of the tribute bands, some tequila tasting, which you see there. And then I love that photo in the bottom right where you can just kind of see Highway 111 lit up with the carnival display. And they continue to give confidence to communications and events that they have a bigger trajectory in mind for this, that this is, I think, one of our fastest growing events, looking at the numbers and kind of the data that we have now. We have hard data. You know, when I first got here, felt like we were getting a little bit in the estimated business, and now we actually have receipts for some of the progress, which I think is great. So we'll continue to partner with them on being able to get analytical data to be able to make better informed decisions. So for 2025 Taste of Jalisco Festival, so the budgeted amount there is what you all approved as part of the biennial budget. That increase is just the normal inflationary increase that we provide year to year, $82,687. The carnival from 2024, the largest one in the event's history, would return. We've been in contact with that vendor, or SoundSkills has been in contact with the vendor. Obviously not pulling any triggers on anything at this point because they don't have a contract. That's why we're here tonight. But they are in negotiations with the Top Banda music group for the community amphitheater. It's a popular subgenre of regional Mexican music. The following, I can't mention too much about the group yet, but really excited me when I got to see the following that they have, and really in a majority Latino community, I think could really excite folks and make the amphitheater shine again. So January 31st to February 2nd, that has become kind of it's the first time we've dipped into January, but that's just because of the calendar change. So it's still that first weekend in February. There was some discussion about maybe moving it a few weeks, but then you get into Date Festival, and then it's Carnival versus Carnival, and then the other dates in April, you get into Coachella. So we kind of like that this is kind of becoming an event that we're not really competing against anybody. It's really kind of Taste of Jalisco weekend, which we think is really, really good. And the sponsorship request has been submitted to Agua Caliente Casinos. They have a June 1st deadline for that, so there won't be any announcements, but we feel very, very confident that they'll be returning as our presenting sponsor for Taste of Jalisco. I don't think it got that slide. Oh, there we go. We got them out of order. Sorry about that. Wanted to add this request for proposals RFP slide. So as city manager mentioned, communication events will be sending out a request for proposals in September 2024 for the following special events: Snowfest at North Pole Village, Taste of Jalisco, and Cathedral City LGBT. And we are adding the plus to the event this year. So it'll be LGBT plus days. And that will be the 2026 events for Taste of Jalisco and LGBT days. And they'll be graded by a citizen review committee as they have been in the past. So I look forward to working on that process. And we welcome anybody and everybody to be able to apply for all of the events. So we're really excited about that. So, yeah, sure, absolutely.
We lose the Q and added the plus?
What's that?
It's LGBT plus.
We never had the Q.
We never had a Q?
No, and so we're trying to do a little bit with subtle branding there, and also moving the event forward from an inclusivity standpoint, because we're going to have to revamp the design of just about everything for the next year. And we also want to give a little bit of wiggle room if a new RFP is selected for this, that they have a little bit of flexibility that they could make the name kind of what they think too. So we obviously would get your blessing as a council for all of that, but we're excited about the future of that event. I think taking 1 year to bring it back to the city, kind of things and some ideas that have come about that I think could really enhance that experience. So with that, the staff recommendation is to approve a 1-year contract extension with SoundSkills, knowing that we will be going to a full RFP for the 2026 Taste of Jalisco Festival.
Councilman Gutierrez, questions or comments? Mayor Pro Tem? No, sir. Councilmember?
Oh, yes. Oh. So I said I would say it again, so just for the record, I think this is a great event, one of the, as you said, growing events. It's probably better than ever, but every year it seems like we ask if we could make sure that there's local vendor participation. And I know sometimes that can be difficult. You saw it in Taste and Sounds, but we do have some local vendors, and as much as I love Sound Skills, they are based out of Temecula, and they do have vendors that they work with at their other events, and they seem to give them a lot of thought and effort. And then what we hear from the local vendors is that they didn't get asked, or they got asked at the last minute if they would like to participate, and then it was difficult. They made it difficult for them to participate. So really the goal would be have one or two at least local vendors, and we got a lemonade place across the way. I don't speak for them. I don't know if they wouldn't accept terms or what the deal is, but and then we have ice cream we've had at other ones, and there's other ones that have been used. So it really would be great if they at least make a little more of an effort for local participation. I don't expect you to write that into the contract, but I know you have interactions with them. And so, I don't know if the other council would agree that that would be something we would like to see. Absolutely. I think that we always pretty much universally, I don't want to speak for them, but the council's been pretty unified on that. So the other thing that's maybe a little more tricky that I notice, and I mentioned before, that there aren't really any moderate price like snack items. So when local people that maybe don't have a lot of money come, and I know it's a money producing event,
Sure.
and there's a lot of expense to everything, but there aren't a lot of moderately priced snack items. So if maybe they could try to be a little more creative with that, it wouldn't have to be something fancy, but something that kids can snack on that doesn't cost $12 or $15. So
I think all that feedback's incredible. You nabbed me as the sixth one that agrees about the local vendors, so I'm happy I take that more as my charge to be able to kind of police that and get in their ear and make sure that is executed properly. I think, E&E Pels actually, the Taste and Sounds partnership actually came about because they felt like they kind of got left out of Taste of Jalisco, and so I've already kind of connected that with Sound Skills and made sure that E&E Pels is one example, but
Yes.
there's obviously several. And I think because of Taste and Sounds, which we did have 5 out of 7 Cathedral City based for the food vendors, which I was happy about. I think now we have a bigger Rolodex that we can provide to them and say, hey, we really need to make sure that we have more Cathedral City representation. And honestly, what I've seen that I think could pair as a solution to your next point, which I totally agree with on the prices with the food trucks, and it is expensive, especially for a family of 4, is the local vendors that we have here at Cathedral City. And I want to commend our code compliance group for getting so many more of them registered and going through the process with Riverside County Health. Is their prices are a lot more reasonable. So I think if we do an influx of local in certain areas, we may be able to lower the prices there across the board. So maybe I'm pie in the sky, but I think it could work, and I take that very seriously. So I appreciate that feedback.
all right, and then something that's not particularly for you, but more for, I guess, facilities, is we could get the bell tower lit up again before we have nighttime events. That would really be nice, because it's been a year or more that it's been dark. I saw those pictures, and that's what reminded me, because it's all lit up, and it's like, oh yeah, there's the bell tower, dark.
I heard it dinging the other day.
You did? Well, maybe they're making progress on it, so.
I would love for that solution to come in place
if we
as
can
well.
at least get it. At one point, somebody put a string of Christmas lights up there, so if we're not going to be able to get regular lights, at least we can put something up there, because it looked even nicer with just a string of Christmas lights than dark.
I know work is underway by Eddie Moore, our facilities manager, but I'm happy to get with him to see how we can kind of escalate that, in addition to the fountain, to have all of our vibrant artistic
That would
components.
definitely be good, but we know that at least there's movement on there.
Yes.
There hasn't been a lot of movement on the bell tower, so. All right, and just a quick note on LGBT days. I think it's good in a way, because it's had the feel of being a little disjointed with the Friday event, and then really the one was at the casino, but it was a little, and maybe it was just me, I didn't realize that everything was over there on that night until it got really close, and then people told me, oh, well, it was, how many days is LGBT days? And it really was 1. But we had a pre-event, and then the casino had an event, and I do think we can tie those all together. There are other local businesses, though. If I was going to do that, I would have the casino and the local businesses, at least as many as you get to participate, so we can advertise as a package. So I give you a lot of a lot of credit because that's a lot to take on. So, but you did pretty good with Taste and Sound. So
Thank you.
I think you're going to be okay there. And there are a lot, and you already know who the players are at this point of locals. Your Jeff Hawkers, your Eric Davises, your others that can help with any, if they're willing, and that can help, with the production part of that. I'm sure you'll be drawing on them plus many others. I'm not trying to push one or the other, but there are a number of them out there.
Absolutely, and I think one thing that we've, both city manager and I have received requests from residents to restart maybe a citizen committee that really kind of helps plan it and has a little bit more vibrant voices represented, particularly of the community that we're celebrating. So all of that will be back, and I think we're excited about what we can do. But for me, it's been, the last couple of years, the bed races are great. What can we do Friday and Saturday to really elevate and celebrate, and then bring in more of the local business community, which is priority one for me right now for that.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you, Councilmember Gregory. I mentioned to Charlie and Ann about the prices of the drinks too. I was kind of put back, and I mentioned possibly you could. I know that Sound Skills is a for-profit business, and
Sure.
they have expenses as well, and everything's gone up from fuel to cost of foods, labor, the whole shot. But maybe you could suggest they look at their slow times and they do, I call it a happy hour. Maybe they can get more people in between when it's slow, where 3 hours prices of food is a different price. We want them to be happy, we want them to make money, but of course we want to see what we can do for our community as well.
I think that's a great suggestion.
I really agree with that. So, okay, I don't see anyone in the public.
you all.
Or does Brad, you got anything to say? Okay, you're good. Council good? All right, do we have a motion?
I move approval.
Okey-dokey.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Gregory and a second by Councilmember Lamb.
Boom.
Can I vote now?
We're waiting on you.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh my God, I wasn't doing it until you said it.
The motion carries
Please
all
vote.
ayes.
Okay. You're funny. All right. All passes. 2-year contract, flock safety for 4 ALPR cameras. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you. We have been blessed to have a council member that's supported us on a lot of flock cameras, which have been very useful to the police department. He's recommending to purchase 4 more. We bring this to you all because we then need authorization for the ongoing costs that follow along behind that. Commander Sanchez will present this item.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, I'm here today to talk to you about our flock safety cameras that we have. Some quick background on our flock cameras. In 2018, the police department began utilizing flock safety LPR cameras. At the time, the department was the first in the Coachella Valley and only one of a few cities in California to utilize flock cameras. The purpose of these flock cameras are to assist with recovery of stolen vehicles. They're used as an investigative tool that aids in prosecution, and they help identify vehicles wanted in other crimes. Some of the significant events for these cameras include they assisted the department with several significant cases, including 2 homicides that occurred in the city. In February of 2023, a flock hit alerted the department of a wanted vehicle subject who was involved with the shooting of 2 Jewish citizens in the city of Los Angeles. The suspect was ultimately located in Cathedral City and taken into custody. And this past week, he agreed to plead guilty to several hate crime charges as well as weapons violations. In March 2024, Councilmember Gutierrez requested a quote for 4 additional flock safety cameras. The police department received a quote from Flock Safety that requires the signing of a 2-year contract. The total 2-year contract cost is $25,600. The first year cost is $13,600, which includes installation and implementation costs. The second year cost is $12,000. The 21 flock cameras already in use receive legacy pricing of $2,500 per camera per year. These 4 additional cameras do not qualify for that pricing and are $3,000 per year per camera. So with the fiscal impact for the 2-year contract with the flock safety is $25,600. We have two options for you. The first option is if approved for immediate purchase. Councilmember Gutierrez has agreed to utilize his discretionary funds for the first year, which would be 2023-2024 fiscal year funds covering $13,600. The second year would require a police department budget amendment in the amount of $12,000 for fiscal year 2024-2025, since this amount was not previously budgeted. Your second option now, if approved for purchase with the July 1st, 2024 date, implementation date, Councilmember Gutierrez has agreed to utilize his discretionary funds for the first year, which would be 2024-2025 fiscal year funds covering $13,600, and the second year of $12,000 could be budgeted into the 2025-2026 fiscal year during the budget building process for the police department. The recommendation for us is to approve the 2-year contract with Flock Safety in the amount of $25,600 using option B.
Thank you. Questions?
Can you go back one slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, was Councilwoman Gutierrez?
No questions. I just, to let you know how important these cameras are. These cameras are crucial to assist our police department and our detective bureau to actually arrest people that have committed violent crimes within our city. And of course, there's hundreds of vehicles that are stolen that go through all these flock cameras. These flock cameras are not utilized for any other reason than to solve crimes. And that's one of the reasons why I support our police department, because he truly brings closure to victims, but also assist our police department into solving crimes.
Yes, Councilmember Gutierrez is correct in that. More and more cities, as well as police departments, and even HOAs now are purchasing these flock cameras, for their entrance and exit gates to find out who's coming into their communities or who's coming into their cities. So they've really grown throughout the past few years, and we were one of the first cities to get behind them. So it has been a tremendous tool. I've been in investigations now for approximately 7 years, and I can tell you they've been beneficial in some of the homicide investigations, as well as this one that made national news this past year. So they have been a huge benefit and a tremendous piece of equipment that we've utilized for the city.
Where would they be placed? Did I miss that? Where they're being placed at?
So what we do is we get with our crime analysts to figure out where the best use would be for them. So we try to put them on entrance and exits of our major thoroughfares like Day Palm, Vistachino, East Palm, to capture the vehicles coming in and exiting the city.
So on that same vein, you have 21 already. Do you have 4 good locations picked out? So I don't want to know where they are. So yes, I don't want to know where they are. But you can use them, right? Okay.
Yes, sir. And we try not to advertise where we put them all the time, just to keep people from avoiding detection, if you understand.
Tracy, I had a question, but I needed the slide that had the money on it.
Okay.
The money slide.
Money slide.
And one slide gave one option and one slide gave another, something like that?
Correct.
All right, let me see if this is it. Right, so here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
If option one, let me see if I can find, if option one covers 23, 24, and option two covers 24, 25, they both cover 24. So one is early and one's a little bit later. Which one do you like? Which one do you want?
We would go with option two. Reason being is
I don't know why.
the fiscal year is going to change in July.
Mhm.
Let me see if I can help ask the question. So 23, 24 is almost over.
Correct.
And your presentation made it sound like the first year's software is included, the second year
That's right.
is the $12,000. So if this year is almost over, by the time you get them up, it's going to be over. Why would you need a budget adjustment?
If you wanted us to purchase them prior to the July 1st date, we would need a budget adjustment.
Well, it's May 22nd. How are you going to, so what you're saying is if you buy them right now,
Today.
Flock is going to say it's only good till July 1st, or they're going to say it's the first year.
No. What this is for the money amount. So if we wait until after July 1st, then Councilmember Gutierrez has agreed to pay for that first year. The second year, when we're building our budget for the police department, we would incorporate that in our new budget.
I see. Yes, because option one doesn't make any sense at all, that's what I'm saying.
Correct. We weren't sure how soon you wanted these cameras.
Well, I want them as soon as possible, but it's literally physically impossible to do that and then have 2 whole years of use before the budget process is.
And the
So
13
really, there is no option one, it's just option two.
Correct.
Because if there wasn't, you needed money to put them up and do the software for the first year, I would say, well, that should be part of the whole cost. He has enough money in there to do that. But if the first year is included in the cost of the camera and installation, well, then you're really just, by doing option two, we're just approving the 13,600. Yeah, you're going to add the rest and the other flock cameras into next year's budget.
Correct, when we're building the budget, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Because I'm with you there. I thought I had it until we had these 2 options, and then I'm like, I'm confused why we have 2 options. Because the one doesn't make any sense.
Yes, we weren't sure how soon you wanted the cameras purchased, but that's why we recommended option 2.
And I'm okay with waiting till July 1st of 2025.
Well, you want it to be encumbered this year because you want it to come out of your money for this year that you have for a what I call a public works project or some physical project. So yes.
Yeah, and we can do that, and if it doesn't get encumbered until we can roll those over. We do rollovers for the.
Sure, if it's encumbered already. That's why I'm saying technically we don't want you to wait till after the first to make the purchase because we want you to have the purchase authorized in this fiscal year. Now, when it actually gets paid, then. But that way it would be encumbered out of those funds that he has for this year because I don't think he spent any of them. I spent all mine.
Well, we appreciate it.
So you're not supposed to save them up, but that's a whole other issue. That's not what it's for.
Any other questions? Any public comment, please?
Mr. Brad Anderson would like to provide comment on this item.
Thank you, Commander.
Thank you again, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. I want to applaud this board and this city for bringing this to the public light, I guess. My city, City of Rancho Mirage, past 2 months, I believe they spent over $300,000 on these license plate readers with the contract and service contract and new equipment being placed on the main arteries. So if they leave your city and head towards that way, I'm sure we'll get them. But anyway, I'm just opposed to this. Not that I have any impact. I'm sure you will vote for this. It is a public safety issue, but it's a very broad stroke. My neighborhood, I can't leave my 2 block area without suspect it being detected. So any crime in my neighborhood, I'm a suspect because I travel every day, usually in my automobile. So I'm a potential suspect, let's put it that way. And I know it's for police, I know the intent of this, and I'm not questioning the police department, but third-party vendors, I can't even say it, I'm sorry. Third parties, other aspects, FBI, there's already testimony that school board meetings, remember all that? Public participation from the parents. They were actively taking license plates in the parking lot. This would be another aspect for them to retain that information without actually going out and writing down these numbers. Not that I'm anti-FBI, I'm just saying that this type of system is just ripe to be abused, I believe, from many agencies, intentionally and maybe not intentionally, maybe. So I understand the premise of the city, and they're all success stories, but they're also, I've been collecting many stories, and there's litigation issues too that I think the city should consider. Just recently in Virginia, not that it has any bearing, the legal counsel would know more about this. I can't remember the name, Neal versus Fairfax. So that's an interesting case. So it's going to have aspects in California eventually. So, and that's just getting a warrant to use that type of information versus not. So it's just a small aspect, but I'm just really concerned about the abuse of this system by other entities that may have access to this. And also the staff report, did it have any information concerning the city's instruments of how they monitor the system, either on who monitors? And that would be helpful. I know you probably have it, but it wasn't included in the staff report. Thank you.
Councilman Gregory?
So actually, Mr. Anderson's comments reminded me that I did want to make another comment about this, because I know there is controversy about the use of any camera system, but flock cameras do come up as part of that discussion. And I've long been a believer, and I know we've talked about, that you need to have really good policy about the use. And sometimes it can sound very benign about, well, it's just looking at license plates and those kind of things, but that can really be misused, and it has been in some agencies. And stupid things like officers having access to it and tracking where their girlfriend goes or something like that. So I have confidence, because I know we've spoken about it, and the police department did share, and there have been some California laws that require the posting of the policies. So it's up for public review, and I have confidence that our department has good policies. But I'm going to put an asterisk on my wholehearted approval of this, because there are some troubling winds that blowing across this country, and one of them that's come up is some states alluding to things like they're outlawing abortion in their states, and they're going as far as outlawing somebody to cross the state line for the purposes of getting an abortion. And there's been some talk that they might try, since this flock system, part of the beauty that makes it work so well is the data is shared on a limited basis, but it is shared between agencies. So we get, we need to know which license plates are stolen in another agency's jurisdiction, including out of state. Part of the deal is that we share. So there is some concern about this. I'm not thinking we need to be on the razor's edge. There are groups watching that, but if that actually happens, where an out-of-state entity is able to get license plate data from say here in Cathedral City for the purposes of tracking somebody who's leaving a state to get an abortion or something else, which is legal here, that there could come a time where you hear me saying, Council, we need to put this on our agenda and see if this is okay with us. But at this point, I don't think that that's really happening. I don't think our police department would support. I think they would alert us if they got any kind of a wind or a whiff that was happening with any of the data. Say, like, we got a subpoena for something like that for the data. The trick of this, they might not need it because they might be able to get off their system. But if we got something like that, and I know the state is also looking at this, so my understanding right now, it's not something to worry about because the state is aware of it and will likely intervene. But if it should happen, I put this little asterisk there because I'm fully supportive of it, but I don't want the council to be surprised if we learn that kind of thing is happening and we come back and say, at some point we need to get with the block company and see if we can put some type of barriers in place. But again, I don't want to. That's no reason to hold up anything like this. As has been shown, they are great. I'm familiar even with their earlier use. Sometimes things even, we talk about stolen cars, but it could be something as simple as Mr. Anderson alludes to, that, technically it is recording and held for a certain amount of time all the license plates that are going by it. But if your family member was murdered in their house and you didn't have any idea who did it, and the police said, well, there happened to be some flock cameras around, and they actually, took that day's data and meticulously went through and identified which cars had been through there, and they were able, and sometimes this happens, this is not fantasy, and that's what solves the murder of and gets closure for family members. then you'd be like, well, we all understand we do give up a little privacy, but it has to be weighed, and it's for the greater good. So without going through all of that policy, I do want to just recognize that there are legitimate issues around here, but I think our police department is doing a good job, and right now the situation is in enough of a balance that we should continue to support flock cameras. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that. Do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Excuse me.
Option 2.
Yeah, thank you. Don't mess it up.
No, I'm not going to do anything, but I just want to ask this question. Should Councilmember Gutierrez not vote and the four of us vote, since he's actually going to be donating the money?
It's not his money.
Yeah, I don't see any conflict for that.
Okay,
Ask
all right.
the city
If
attorney.
y'all feel good about that, I just want to make sure.
Now
Al?
you can vote.
All good? I mean, nothing wrong. I just want to make sure we didn't get bumped.
I responded, but it probably wasn't loud enough. I don't see any conflict with that.
So we do have a motion. Do you not have the screen?
This is
It says waiting.
Oh,
Now it says move, baby.
nobody. So we have a motion by Councilmember Gutierrez and a second by Councilmember Gregory. And the motion carries, all ayes.
All right, thank you. All passed, okay. Let me see. Wellness Solutions Program contract. May we have staff report on that, please?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Chief Crum will present this item. We received a grant about a year ago from the state for wellness programs to support health, mental and physical health among our police employees, and this is a contract to implement that grant.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Before I get started, I would like to let the council know that your police department will be recognized next Thursday in Los Angeles for the Above and Beyond Award as a result of capturing the synagogue shooter. So we're looking forward to that event next Thursday.
Get a bus, we can all go.
Let me see.
So tonight, I'm bringing something to you that frankly, over the course of my 35-year career, is not something we spent a lot of emphasis on in the early parts of my career. As we entered into the pandemic, and then a result of George Floyd in the summer of 2020, we saw a mass exodus of law enforcement personnel, either through retirements, early retirements, and just flat-out resignations. So across the nation and the state of California, there's been more of an emphasis on officer wellness to keep people in the job longer. So that's why I'm here tonight. So Assembly Bill 178 was passed in 2022, which made officer wellness and mental health grant funds available to law enforcement professionals for wellness programs within our organizations. The funds are intended to establish peer support units, expand services provided by licensed mental health professionals or other counselors that work specifically with law enforcement, along with other programs or services that have a successful track record of enhancing the wellness of officers. We were awarded $34,402.05, which this council approved on March 22nd, 2023 for a wellness program. So the purpose of the grant funding is to assist agencies in improving or creating a wellness program. So establishing or expanding existing officer wellness units, establishing peer support units, which our department already has that in place, expanding services provided by the mental health professionals, counselors, or other professionals that work with us, expanding multi-agency mutual aid programs focused on officer wellness and mental health, and initiate other programs or services that are evidence-based or have a, excuse me, have a successful track record of enhancing officer wellness. So each year, over 2.5 million deaths occur in the United States. The 10 leading causes of death are responsible for 75% of annual deaths and are attributed to chronic conditions that are costly and preventable. The top healthcare issues facing most companies include diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and cancer. First responders face increased risk due to occupational physical demands, high stress, unpredictable schedules, shift work, and sleep challenges. So our department, through our peer support program, researched several programs, and they chose the Work Care Incorporated program, which consists of the following features. So as I break this down, the wellness program maintenance fee is $12,000 for the year. We would have a HIPAA-compliant wellness app available to all police employees. That's a cost of $1,920. A phlebotomist and staffing fees is $3,000. Blood work and consultation for 52 sworn officers is $2,660 to $3,040. And then blood work consultation for 28 civilians, because it's a different type of testing, is $900. Injury prevention movement screening is $3,000, and resiliency training is $6,000. It's important for me to note that this is a voluntary program. Employees are not forced to participate, which is why you see the dollar amounts differing. So the total cost will be somewhere between $29,480 to $30,000 maximum. So my recommendation tonight to council is authorize the Chief of Police to execute the Wellness Solutions Incorporated program contract between the Cathedral City Police Department and Work Care Incorporated for the wellness program in an amount not to exceed $30,000. And a quick note on the $34,000 that you have already approved, we have already sent people to peer support management 1-week courses, and I have another person scheduled for another course. So I will have 2 people who can manage internally this program. So we have spent some of the funds, but tonight I ask for this approval.
Just one quick question. So did this come under the HIPAA law if an officer has some issues of maybe mental health? I mean, would it go in his jacket or her jacket or? So
it's all private.
It's all private.
That's why the app is HIPAA compliant.
Okay.
So, and I will tell you, you probably remember this, Mayor, but in the past, the police department had a program similar to this. And I know of 3, if not 4, individuals who went through this actually found serious issues that they were able to get treated for, and their survivability lasted longer.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilman Gregory?
You know, the only question I had is, how do you know if it's successful? Because that's just an anecdotal. Is there any data, or in other words, how will you know if the men and women have benefited from this after the year?
We know from past experiences with a similar program that we had 4 people that found significant issues health-wise that they were able to get corrected.
Okay, thank you.
We would hope you don't find any issues, but at least we'll know, and the education will be good for the people, because it looked like it's going to include a lot of healthy lifestyle type suggestions and those types of things.
Diet recommendations, resiliency training, things that we just don't really do.
Anyone from the public like to speak on this?
I don't have any requests to speak, Forms Mayor. It looks like it's primarily staff in the council chambers.
Because I got Brad Anderson up here. I never took you off. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
Move approval.
A second? Please vote.
Okay. Did I vote too soon? soon, is that what you're telling me?
Don't vote yet.
Ernesto did.
I'm just confirming that, Councilmember Gregory, you made the motion, and
Ernesto,
Councilmember,
don't push that button.
so Councilmember Gutierrez made the motion, and Councilmember Gregory made the second, correct?
Not verbally.
Oh,
You just
okay.
push the button.
So is that what we're going with, then?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we were doing
We
it
all agreed to
verbally.
do it verbally and then wait and
Yeah.
only push the button if you were the one that, so,
We'll get it straight for next time.
no, the vote button.
Nancy, you're
No,
pushing
no.
my button.
I'm pushing my button too, buddy.
It doesn't really matter, but.
Okay.
The motion carries all ayes.
Thank you very much. AB 1600, Development Impact Fee Fund Transfers and Restructuring. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin Biersack, your Financial Services Director, will present this item. This goes back to when we adopted the new development impact fee schedule and following up on that study. And the study itself collapsed 11 different categories of fees down into 5. And he indicated at the time we'd need to come back and map our funds so that all the money went into the correct place. So that's the item before you tonight. He's also going to look ahead to some things that we're going to do to update our capital improvement plan to better contemplate what's necessary with these funds in the future. Kevin?
Kevin, we saved the best for last, and we hope you're the quickest, too.
You stole my thunder, sir. What did I say during presentation preview earlier this week? I said, save the best for last. Thank you, sir.
Please continue.
And thank you, Mr. City Manager. And good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff, interested parties. As the City Manager said, you've seen this before. The study was implemented, approved by you all last fall. It became effective January 1st, so we're going to do a little bit of rehash, and then we're going to talk about what's going on in the future. So thank you. Questions, answers as we go along as usual, or save them till the end. These first couple of slides you've seen, just to recap for you all, but for the listening audience. This dates back to after Prop 13, 1978. We were, as municipalities, as agencies, were able to charge charge fees on new development to fund public improvements and services, AKA development impact fees, separate from traditional fees. These fees are to be spent in a timely manner. They are documented and tracked in an annual reporting of the AB 1600, which was, this bill applies to developer fees after January 1st, 1989. And as a side note, we started reporting the AB 1600 to our governing body in 2006. It took us that long to figure it out, I guess. Government Code 66,000 to 66006 to annually review and report. Keep in mind, development fees are defined by the state as a monetary exaction other than a tax or a special assessment. They can be charged by a local agency, the purpose of defraying all or a portion of the cost of public facilities. But it doesn't include, as I said before, those just traditional fees. So every fall we bring to you our annual AB 1600 report. It's a really interesting document, and I'm sure that it keeps you awake at night when you read it before coming here on a Wednesday evening. It has beginning and ending balances, fees collected, interest earned, other income, if any, expenditures made that we've made in that given year for any of those fees. And really it ties back to the bottom line, and that's capital projects and commitments that we make to spend those monies. So as the city manager said, 11 fees were consolidated and mapped into 5 new fees. That you'll see that mapping on the next slide. But those fees, also what came with those new fees and were updated in new rates. So these are the 5 broad categories of development impact fees: parks, transportation, general government, fire facilities, and police facilities. Here's the mapping. With respect to the mapping, what we've identified in the report are the old fee name, the old fund, or the project, because actually there were 4 funds that involved with these fees, with these 11 fees. 3 of those funds, ironically, back in the late 80s and early 90s, had separate funds created, but somewhere along the way, we created a fund for the development impact fee, and we had a bunch of projects established. So we've gotten rid of that dichotomy. We now have all funds for all of these fees. No more just projects that are mapped into the same fund. At the end of the fiscal year, going into this new fiscal year, we have before you the fund balance that for the start of the fiscal year, and you can see how, based on the previous slide, we have the 5 new funds, the fund numbers, and so those are the dollars associated with that were mapped at the beginning of the year. Tidbit of information that was included in the staff report. For the first 6 months of this fiscal year, and these are not applicable on all permits, keep in mind, but for the 32 applicable permits, the development impact fees were applicable for the first 6 months. We had a whopping 32 permits that garnered almost $98,000 in development impact fees. So then let's fast forward to January 1st, when we then did our mapping and our implementation of the fee study and the update to those development impact fees. 7 applicable permits in the first 3 months, and we've garnered $203,000 in deposits. So that kind of gives you a flavor. There's not necessarily a one-for-one, but it depends upon the type of permit that is applied for. We are going to see increased deposits made to these funds. And I use the term deposits just to forewarn and to caution. They aren't revenues. They're monies that come in the door that get put on deposit that sits there so that they can be spent thereafter. So I just wanted to make that qualification with respect to why we call them deposits. So let's talk about the commitments that you have seen every fall when you review the AB 1600 in an agenda packet. And so some of these, by pulling it out of that report that is a little bit of a yawner, we acknowledge, by putting it here in writing, you'll see what the commitments have been made by not necessarily you all, but the governing body, dating back to 1989. So in the new Park Facilities Fund, Fund 271, we have 5 commitments in that annual report, the park improvement. And the ones that are highlighted in green are either items that were there at the end of last year or have been approved this year. For example, the downtown dog park was approved this year to use development impact fees for that design effort that is currently ongoing. So we have 5 listed here, 2 of which are highlighted in green because they are known things that, we've tied back to you all and made an encumbrance for. Keep in mind, this year, we had the encumbrance for park improvement and maintenance plan, but based on Tropical Storm Hillary, we kind of put that on hold this year because of the actions that were done back in November. But at the beginning of the year, we were aware that we had this park improvement maintenance plan effort. So you add all of that up and you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, Kevin, that's a ton of money. That's over $16 million. And what, at the beginning of the year, we have from a fund balance standpoint is just shy of $1 million. So this is a recurring theme, and it's something on these next slides we wanted to be able to share with you so that you know. We're here tonight tied to the mapping because we are sharing that with you for your approval because that's something we need to finish out our year end. But we will be coming back to you later in the fall to review some of these commitments.
So you're not asking us to comment on like some of these that are old, because what you're saying is you're going to be coming back?
Yes, sir.
To do that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I mean, we'll listen if you'd like to comment, but yes, we'll be back.
No, it's, no. Not as long as it's coming back.
It will. And we're probably looking in the late October, like probably in the October timeframe when we come back to give you our year-end results, our preliminary results after we go through our fall audit. So we're looking like late October, early November for that. Fund 272, here's a laundry list. 2 of which are highlighted in green, and you can see when you look at that, we're looking at over $14 million. And we have a fund balance of $360,000 that's mapped. The couple that are highlighted, the Vistachino Bridge, we do have that commitment for our match. Keep in mind that is the effort that is spearheaded by the city of Palm Springs through their initiative through Caltrans. That would be our match for what's above and beyond the Caltrans and or the CVAG match that would happen. And then also the citywide trails. In the most recent biennial budget that you all approved last spring, we did have earmarked $80,000 in the CIP as a potential project for the citywide trails. So that's part of that $504,000 that was there. But we did have that earmarked. These next two are rather straightforward. General government facilities, Fund 273, for a vehicle storage facility. And this north of I-10, when you saw it on the previous slide, some of those north of I-10, that was the lingo that was utilized in the old AB 1600. That north of I-10 has now been kind of stricken with respect to the new impact fee study that you all approved last fall. But those are the way that the commitments are labeled. So once again, when we come back in the fall, we'll have the opportunity to identify, is it necessary to identify it north of the 10, or, what's the applicability? Fire facilities, Fund 274, with the intention of another fire station, over $3 million. Back at that time when that commitment came on the table, and we have a fund balance of just under $200,000. And then police facilities, two of which were identified as north of the 10 under the previous AB 1600 and impact fee. When you look at that, you see about $3 million worth of commitments, and we have just under $300,000 of fund balance. So once again, just to give you a flavor of, with our mapping, these are where the monies have gone, where we've mapped them to. So what's next? So tied to those committed and potential projects, as we've discussed, the fee study conducted by ClearSource and their subcontractor Harris was only for the AB 1600 classified fees. When we initially went out for that RFP, we were looking at everything, but when they came back, they only identified the AB 1600 that they would work on. In looking at the previously committed and newly identified projects, like some of those in green, they've been carried forward, and we will come back to you in the fall. As I said previously, we will come back to you in the fall to review and determine future direction for those commitments. And, are they legitimate? Do we need to look at different commitments? Separate from that, we have 5 fees that were not considered under that impact fee study that you all approved in the fall. We affectionately are calling those non-AB 1600 fees. So separately, for a very small impact, we went out to ironically, one of the vendors that had bid on the fee study previously and asked them to give us, and it's a whopping $10,000 within the authority, to be able to do an update of these 5 fees, and these 5 fees are on the next slide. Quimby Act, the General Plan Maintenance Surcharge, the Transit Development, the Master Underground Plan, or sometimes you've heard the term MUP, and then Art in Public Places. So these 5 are non-AB 1600 fees, and that's where we will fold into an analysis of that. For example, when the Assistant City Manager has been to you and talked about the Art in Public Places and different options, we'll fold that in here with respect to that study with that vendor. So we're working with David Tausig and Associates, or DTA, and that is the $10,000 fee study that we plan to initiate this summer, mid-June to early July timeframe. And we hope to bring the results of that fee study to you in a September study session, followed by an October council approval, so that with that 60-day notice type thing that we've done in the past that you're familiar with, we would be able to implement on January 1st of 2025. The results of those new fees. So every once in a while, y'all are interested in art in public places, so that's why we included that in the agenda report so that you would be able to see. So with respect to this year, what was in the budget was $51,500. Had meant to change sponsorships to really be education, because that's what it's really all about, and my apologies. That was my error. So with respect to that $51,550 that was budgeted in the old Art in Public Places project, that is now in a new fund, And for the first 9 months of this year, through March 31st, we had spent a whopping $18,000 of that $51,000. I highly doubt we'll spend the whole thing in the final 3 months, obviously. So before you tonight are the staff's recommendation and the request for you all to approve the restructuring that's been presented to you of the AB 1600 development impact fees and the funds for FY 23 and 24. Any questions? Please
Thank you.
feel free.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
I did not see the EG Fund 2024. Ernesto Gutierrez Fund.
I'm sorry. It is not there, sir. How ironic that you say that with respect to this week, because this is our interim audit week and it's been quite busy. A little tidbit that you'll be interested to know that with their random selections of different staff reports and agendas and spend that we've done, one of the 3 items was George Crump's flock camera contract for $52,500. So that was audited today, ironically. So it seems to be all about EG and the police department.
Mayor Pro Tem? No. Councilmember Gregory?
Even the non-1600, AB 1600 funds, they are related in some way to development, though.
Yes, they're just not reportable in the AB 1600 report as an AB 1600 fund.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any public comment?
I do not have any request to speak forms, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment, raise your hand.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
A second.
No. I said, do I have a motion?
Well, maybe you made a motion.
I'll make a motion.
A second?
Hit the button. I'll second,
Please
but I
vote.
can't because I don't see the second button yet. Ernesto, it's waiting for you to push the button. The motion button.
You got to move it. Hit move.
Here, I'll do it for you.
There you go.
There, doing it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gutierrez, we need you to vote. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. This is making more and more sense all along, so I look forward to your next
We'll do that.
streamlining of this. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, Kevin.
The motion carried.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion on future agenda items, council members? No. Okay, we're going to adjourn, and the next regular city council meeting will be held on June 26th, 24. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
We have a month off.
June 24. I know.